Zdaj pa vabim, torej v tem sklopu do kosila imamo še predvsem predstavitve prakse. Najprej projekt iz Italije, potem pa še naši projekti, tako da malo dobimo občutka, kaj so to danes, kaj so live projekti. Tako da I would invite Matteo to come here and to present your live project and your role in this. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I think that...
Do you need this one?
What? No, it's okay.
No, it's okay.
I think Juliana presented me already, maybe. Yes. But anyway, I'm Matteo Ruocco, and I will present you a live project which is called Wet Fly Amphibia. First of all, thank you for the invitation, of course. And it's a great opportunity for us, like for a live project, to present our project every time. And this is a good occasion for us. So thank you also to you to listen to me. So the project is aimed to improving the conservation status of the population of amphibians and butterflies of habitats of open wet areas of one of the most valuable forests of Europe. I know that I'm in Slovenia, and probably this is not a good sentence for you, but there is... Yes, and that's it. I studied a little bit because I have to justify this sentence to you. The project area is a national park, which is called Foreste Casentinesi, Monte Falterone and Campigna National Park. It is located in the central part of Italy, here, on the Apennines Ridge, bordering between Emilia-Romagna region and Tuscany. So half of the protected area is in Emilia-Romagna region, the eastern part, and the western part is in Tuscany. Why did I say that is one of the most valuable? We have one of the most valuable forest areas in Europe, because in fact for Italy we have for sure one of the best forested areas in Italy. But since this year, we are also part of a World Heritage Site of the UNESCO, ancient and primaveral beech forest of the Carpathian and other regions of Europe. But as we are in, also Slovenia has two areas inside the World Heritage Site, and Krokar, that's it, and Snežnik. Okay. Our site is almost 700 hectares of surface area, so it is quite big, in fact. And we have a buffer area which is also 7,000 hectares. So we have good forest and also kind of big. I mean, Italy is quite impacted by humans, you know. There is a kind of anthropic pressure. But despite that, we have this forest. Starting from 60s or 70s, from our areas, we lost a lot. We had a great depopulation of the mountains. So many people went in the plain to work, of course, and abandoned the mountains. That causes a great reforestation of the areas. Okay. So we had ancient forest, but also now we have a great reforestation in the last decades. This is resulted a problem, in fact, for some species of amphibia, for example, and butterflies. In particular, of this species, which is the Bombina pachypus, which is an amphibia which prefers open areas. So like grazing lands and wet areas in grazing lands. So we are losing grazing because we don't have any more people who are farming there. And so we are also losing this kind of animals, which are, of course, inside the habitat directives. Yellow-bellied toad, Bombina pachypus, is the main actor of the project, of course, but we also focused on speckled salamander, Italian crested newt, Jersey tiger, and Eriogaster cattax. Those are all species of wet areas, of course. If you have a question, you can ask me. I have time, I think, today, so we can also make questions during the presentation. No? Okay. Jersey tiger is Euplagia quadripunctaria. Okay. So I'll show you quickly the project action, just to focus on some points. Okay, I will show you a project. There is not a unique way to present a project or to write a project, of course. Maybe this was a good idea, so I will show, because we got the funding, so I will show this idea. It's not the unique way to write a project. This is that clear, I think. Anyway, of course, we have preparatory actions, concrete conservation actions, monitoring actions, public awareness and dissemination, and of course, coordinating action, we can say. As you can see, we have few clear action for each part. We didn't put many action with sub-action under sub-action, but just few big clear actions, okay? Of course, in preparatory action, we had integration of knowledges, identification of population, we can call this preparatory action. Integration of knowledge is also the A2, because we work not only on the species, but also on the habitat of this species. So we try to improve the habitats where this species lives. And the concrete actions consisted in implementation of the intervention for the conservation and consolidation of European interest amphibians, reintroduction of individuals, and production of vegetative material for the restoration of the habitat. Of course, we have the monitoring action, which are mandatory, and the public awareness, but we will discuss this point by point. An important thing to know is that you cannot write a project without having previous knowledges. I mean, we were focusing on these species and we noticed a threat, okay? So we made monitoring, we made investigation, and we found that these species were in fact in threats in our protected areas. So our previous study highlighted a threat, okay? And the threats basically was that their habitats was disappearing, okay? In particular, in the western side of the national park, in Tuscany. So we had few population in the eastern part, which are in strong threats, and we needed to conserve them, okay? So, of course, the conservation action, yes. You asked me if we had this action already in our national park program management program, yes. Okay, yes. Of course, the national park aimed to conserve the species, but we need something more to do to do something immediately, because the threat was really strong. So the previous researches highlighted the problem, and we needed a solution. No specific action were written in the management program of the national park, so we had to do something specific, really specific. We choose a life project, okay? Why? First of all, national park could even afford this situation, okay? We could do something for these species, but we couldn't have the same amount of money of a EU life project. And of course, not all in few years. And we wouldn't be able to sustain such a partner network that we could with Life project. So Life project permitted us to build a good network, a strong network, to have a great amount of money in the short time and focus on this problem, okay? Of course, we have pros and cons with Life. The cons are always the same, okay? But we can also see these cons as a pro, because okay, there is a strong rigidity of the administrative aspects. Okay, you have to show to Europe that everything you spend good, and how you spend it, and when, and everything, which could be annoying. But this control, this hard control, it also stimulates you to move forward during the project and don't stop at the first problems, because you have to finish the project if you want the money, okay? And you have to work hard. And this is a good thing, at least for us in Italy. You know, we are kind of a bit lazy. Oh, there is a problem, it's too big for us. No, there is Europe, you have to do it. And this is a good thing, at least for us. Okay, the other pros are, of course, you can build a good network. You can not only work with different entities, but also make these entities speak with them, okay? So we will see that our partner, we already work with our partners, but our partners didn't work together. But with the Life project, they could talk to each other, and it is always a good thing to have different point of view, different opinions, and it stimulates you to also to go on even if you have problems. Another important thing is that as a national park, it is difficult to have a strong human resources. I mean, we cannot in charge many people normally during the year to study or to make conservation action. With Life project, we can have a larger workforce, basically. We can have the fundings to pay more people to do things that we couldn't do alone. This is our partner network. The national park is the coordinating beneficiary, of course, because all the action are made inside these protected areas. That's why, basically. As associated beneficiary, we have a private entity, which is DREAM Italia, which is the coordinator of the project. DREAM Italia basically coordinated the writing process of the project and also the developing of the project. So DREAM write the project and coordinate it, basically. We have two scientific partners. Of course, we need some scientific valuable partners, which are two universities, University of Bologna and University of Pavia. And we have two other public entities, which are basically the local lands owners, because I don't know if Slovenia is the same, but in Italy, we have a national park, but the owners of the lands of the national park is not the national park. So it's a bit difficult. We need, of course, the local landowners to do something on their lands. This is obvious. Yes, the dissemination part, the communication, you know that is really important. Europe is really stressing on this point, the communication. So we focused on working a bit differently than usually. We didn't decide to just making events or going into the schools or stuff like that, which are, of course, useful, but we thought that it was important that our dissemination process could go further, the project, go on, okay? And not stopping within 5 years. As I said, the grazing lands are mainly public owned, but they are the concessionaries that use these lands, okay, that use these grazings. So we decided to teach the grazing concessionaries to be the main actors in the conservation actions. So we teach them how to do, how to manage their grazing to conserve our species. So it was really important to find common interests, yes, between us, so between the conservation of the species and of the habitat, and between them to improve their grazing, okay? This permitted us to maintain this collaboration also outside the LIFE project. You know, you talk with them, and then you can also, you become like friends, okay? And not only like you are the national authority and the national park that I cannot do this, this, and this, but we can become something like, okay, we need this and that, we have some money, why don't you do this and that could be useful also to you, okay? So you become friends or something like that. Basically, as you see, we build water hole for Bombina pachypus, okay? And we, for example, restore some springs that were closed and stuff like that. And this is useful also for their cows, of course, because they have waters, more waters supply. Another dissemination point, another dissemination action was addressed to the guides of the national park. Why? For the same reason of before. We made some, we didn't make them yet, but we are making them because the project is still in act. We have to realize tracks that show and alike the project action, okay? And the target species, of course. So people can go and see what we did. But not alone, not only with a table explaining you what happened, but why not also involving the national park guides. So we educate the national park guides on the project action, on the project species. So when they lead people along these tracks, they can teach them, and not only in our 5 years, of course, but for the future, okay? This is the most annoying part, probably, for everybody, maybe. But, well, of course, when you write it and when you're thinking, it's like a high mountain to hike, no, the financial part. But I think it's not so hard, in fact, if you focus on it, and after a while, if you have a good Excel table to make some stuff, it's not so hard. How did we get inside all the limitation of the project? Everything is written in here. I will start from the bottom. As Drem Italia is a private entity, their contribution was of only 10%, okay? Their co-founding. And of course, it was all covered by the internal personnel. Why? Because it is a private entity, basically. So they cannot work for free. But to cover this percentage, of course, the national park put the 50% of their own contribution, so co-founding, which was the half of that was of internal personnel, and another half was direct ministerial contribution, okay? So that we put money, cash, basically, to finance the project. This allowed us also to respect the rule of 2%, okay? So as I said at the beginning, we had money to do conservation actions, okay? Not as much as LIFE project can give us. So we decided to do a LIFE project and then use this, let's say, small amount of money to co-finance the project, okay? The other two, the owners, let's say, also put it the 50% of co-foundings, and with all of personnel, of course, personals and overheads. It's always inside. Why? Because basically they made a lot of intervention, direct intervention. They have people that works on, and they can make them work. And universities also put it, the 40% of their own contribution, and of course it was covered all by their personnel. So that's allowed us to have, in fact, a good co-founding, a good balance between partners and between entities, and to respect all the rules of the LIFE project. Okay. Of course, LIFE, as you saw, we are working in one area with all the partners from this area, except from the 2 universities. But we need, and Europe now is strongly asking this, to extend our international network, of course, okay? So we are still looking, even if we have the founding and we are now working on this, we are still looking on new partners or new possibilities to have exchanges of experiences about our European interest amphibians and butterfly population, of course. So if you have some areas that are interested on it, you can write us, and maybe we can make something. We can have an exchange of experiences, for example, which is basically the reason why LIFE projects are made. It's not only to conserve, but also to teach others country how to make good things, okay? And of course, now we always think about new projects. Even if we are working on one project, well, in fact, as National Park, we are working with 2 LIFE projects at the moment, but we are still writing new projects. Because it's a good exercise to write down new projects, to try to find new partners, okay, to have collaborations, even only to write projects. And it's, of course, even if they don't get the fundings, it's good because you get a response on what you've done good and what is wrong in your project, okay? So our future projects, and we are looking for partners for that, will be on the best practice for the management of forest. Maybe I'm in a good country for that. So we would like to, in fact, collect all the information and all the LIFE project of the data that there are on forest management and extract the best practice to manage forest, but not only for the wood and the trees, but also for the fauna living in there, okay? Such as amphibians, for example. Another project that we would like to write down in the near future is about the European and the conservation of the European wildcat, which is in our national park is, let's say, it's a new species. It's arrived from the south. We have 2 populations in Italy, one of the Apennines, central and southern Italy, and one bordering to Slovenia, so northeast, okay? But it's affected by hybridization. This is the strongest threat, of course, and also the transmission of disease with domestic cats, and also road collisions, okay, with cars. We would like to work on this species because we have to do something. We saw that we have a really weak population, and it's really in threat. Of course, we have data. We had to collect data on this species, and it's, I don't know, like 10 years that we are working on European wildcat, and we decided that probably it's the moment to do something. Okay, we have data enough, and we know what the problem are and what we could do. Now we need partners and money to do things. Okay. Well, basically that's it. Thank you very much. Of course, if you have questions, you can make them now. Otherwise, you can write me emails on info@lifewetflyamphibia.eu. That's it.
Thank you very much for your very interesting presentation. And I would invite our colleagues to have some questions. You can put questions also in Slovenian, we can translate it, it's not a problem. So, ima kdo kakšno vprašanje okrog tega? Tle imate zdaj priliko, da malo še povprašate, kar ni bilo povedano. Sigurno še kaj vas zanima, upam vsaj. Ja. Kdo? So maybe I can ask something. Maybe I didn't hear at the beginning you presented your organization, your national park. How many staff is employed in your national park, approximately?
15.
15?
Yes.
Okay, it's not very big.
No, but no. Yeah. But this is a common problem in Italy with national parks.
But you have a lot of national parks in Italy, don't you?
Yes, kind of. Yes, yeah. Maybe more than in Slovenia, of course.
Yeah, only one.
But yes.
Okay.
But yes, we are 15, and that's why we need also money from. That's why I focused a little bit on have a larger workforce, because we are 15, and of course we have administrative, we have communication, we have everything in these 15. So in fact, we have two biologists.
Two biologists?
Yes, that's it. And one is focused on the dissemination, on the communication aspect. Only one is working directly on the conservation aspect. Yes, species or habitats. So how many employees we have? 15. How many workers on habitat directives problems? 1, 2.
And you are paid fully from the state or not?
Me or national park? Yes.
All the 15.
Yes, they are all. Yes. Yes, from the Ministry of the Environment, yes.
Public money.
Yes.
Okay, and on the top of this, you employ people in life projects.
Yes, of course. This is an opportunity also, because all the national parks in Italy are in areas with not so many works, of course. That's why people went away. But it's an opportunity to employ people with high specialization, okay, high education levels. Maybe for a short period, but that's why we are always trying to write down new projects, to have a continuity, yeah, continuation, to have people with high level of education employed, not directly, but with the help of Europe.
Okay. Yeah. So you said about 2 projects that you have live or more? I didn't just catch.
By now 2 active.
There are 2 running.
Yeah.
But in previous years,
oh, no more. Yeah. I don't remember, but as the national park, probably around 10.
That you were a lead partner or also partner?
No. Also partner. Yes, of course.
All together.
Yes. Dream Italia had many more, like 20, 25 projects.
We know that Italy is very productive.
Yes, but we need to. we need to. That's why also Spain, basically, Germany or England, they're not so productive, but maybe because they basically don't need to. They have enough money by the ministry or by their own country. We don't have enough money, and we don't have people, so we need this money, and we work hard to try to do good things.
So in general, you find life useful, yes?
What?
In general, you find life program useful?
Yes, of course. Okay.
Any questions? I'm only me talking.
I have a question to financing. I understood on right way that this owner association and university, they finance things, in fact, through their staff. not an additional money. They just say 2 people working now
full on the
for
project,
life, and they are paid by university.
That's it.
Okay. And the second thing, I understood right that in fact when you said we co-finance the project through national park, that's mean in fact from money that ministry gave you, and then ministry give you some additional money.
This is not additional money. These are normal money that the ministry gave us every year.
But you said in your
yes
that you give 50%.
Of course, plus 50%.
Ministry give you 50%.
Yes.
What's that mean that now? 2 times in fact or not?
No. It means that of that 50% that the national park co-financed. Yeah. Okay, so 50%, a half was of how do you say, workers, internal workers. Okay. The other half was ministerial fundings, which is a normal funding that they give to us, and we decided to allocate it in this project.
Okay. In fact, the whole money from ministry is somehow located in your organization, and you pay then.
Yes, exactly.
It is not some additional money.
No, no. This is not additional money.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Še kdo? Oh, super.
I would have 2 questions. First one is related to upgrading. Probably you are thinking about another live project in the future related to the contents like this, and maybe you already have an idea which partners will be involved. So will it be more about education or still regarding the measures? And then the second question, are you involved also in other projects related European Union co-financing, like for example Interreg or community-led local development? And if you do, how you manage to relate all of them to connect? Thank you.
Okay. So the first question, of course, we have to think also to the future for this project. Yes, we are looking basically to partners that have the same threats to the same species, or kind of same species to the same habitats, and transmit our capacity, what we have learned with this live project, to others. And this is what Europe in fact asks us, no? To transmit what we have learned, okay? So this is basically what we are thinking about. So to let go out our knowledge, okay? Build it with the funding. The other question was about the project, of course. Other project, as national park, no. We don't have any Interreg at the moment or other EU fundings. But, for example, DREAM Italia, yes, it has. And basically, yes, we have another, it was, what was about the other live project in the national park? It was about insects, basically, 4 species, a damselfly, 2 wood insect, and another Ditishide, so it is water beetles, okay? So I don't know why, well, I mean why, but we are focusing, as you can see, on small things instead of big things, because okay, wolves and bears, they are of course important, but there is a great competition now, you know, to get funding with this subject. So we decided to focus on like deep subject, but still important, that allow us to work on the forest management also, because Rosalia alpina and Osmoderma eremita are two forest insects, we say. So we have to manage the forest to preserve the species. So we are looking for an excuse, which is basically not only an excuse, but to work on something bigger. So working on a little insect to work on the whole forest, okay? Of course, the two live projects have to speak with them, because basically it's requested, and it's really easy, no, to let them speak, because we are we. But we don't work, in fact, with other EU fundings at the moment. Maybe because we are 15 or 2.
If not, then we are on time. I will thank you for your presentation. It's really interesting, and maybe it will be an opportunity during the lunchtime to talk also to some.
Why not?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.